Okay, welcome in, one and all. I'm now going to be reviewing all of Saturday's action from the NHL. There were 12 games on tap, so therefore 24 teams were hungry for 2 points. Uh, the first game I'm going to review is an original six matchup between the New York Rangers and the Montreal Canadiens. Brendan Gallagher would finally stop a 24-game goalless streak as he would kick things off for the Montreal Canadiens, getting his sixth goal of the season from Jake Evans and David Savard. In the second, just a minute and 9 seconds into that period, Sean Monahan would increase the lead to 2-0, getting his 10th goal assisted by Yolonen. A minute and 30 seconds after that, Yoel Armia would score, getting a sixth of the season from Stevens and Pizzetta. So at that point, it was looking like this was going to be after being up 3-0 on the best team in the Eastern Conference. But hold that. Trocheck would cut the deficit to 3-1, getting the Rangers finally on the board with his 10th of the season, assisted by Gustafsson and Panarin. With 5 minutes and 31 seconds to go, Panarin would cut the deficit to 3-2, getting his 25th of the season, assisted by Trocheck. So it's 3-2 in favor of Montreal heading into the third. Adam Fox would tie the game up 9 minutes and 30 seconds into that frame, getting his fourth of the season from BC and Cooley. There were no goals in the overtime. We have to jump ahead to a shootout where Cole Caulfield would get the game-winning goal for the Montreal Canadiens. So with the victory, Montreal is now 17-17-5. And again, just because, or even though the Rangers lost, they're still atop of that Metropolitan Division at 26-10-2. All right. The next matchup takes place in Philadelphia, where they played host to the Calgary Flames. Okay, let's take a look at the goal scoring summary from this game. No goals to report in the first. Jonathan Huberdeau would kick things off for the Flames in the second, getting his sixth goal of the season from Kadri and Possible. A minute and 55 into that frame. Frost would tie the game up at 4 minutes and 15 seconds of that middle period, his sixth of the season from Walker and Forster. Uyghur would give the Flames a 2-1 lead, 9 minutes and 13 seconds into that period, his ninth of the season from Coleman and Majapani. Sean Couturier would then tie it up with a power play goal, 3 minutes and 54 seconds remaining in that frame, his 10th of the season from Frost and Zamula. So it's all tied up at 2 heading into the third. Just 2 minutes and 27 seconds into that third period, Konechny would get a shorthanded goal for the Flyers, giving them a 3-2 lead. 21st goal of the season from Lawton and Cam York. And that's where we would stand at the end of regulation. So with the victory, the Flyers are 20-13-6, still comfortable in the top 3 or top 4 of that Metropolitan Division. And with the loss, the Flames are 17-17-5. They're on the outside looking in when it comes to the postseason. All right. The next matchup takes place in Colorado, where they played host to the Florida Panthers. Okay, let's take a look at the goal scoring summary from this game. And it'd be a high scoring affair, to say the least. In the first, Verhaeghe would kick things off for the Panthers, getting his 21st of the season from Tkachuk and Bennett, a minute and 10 seconds into that frame. Sam Reinhart, who's been red hot, would get his 26th goal of the season, assisted by Forsling and Barkov 3 minutes and 2 seconds into that first period. And then he would then get his second goal of the game, his 27th of the year, assisted by Barkov and Rodriguez 7 minutes and 41 seconds into that period. So it's 3-0 in favor of the Panthers heading into the second. Cale Makar would finally get the Avalanche on the board just 21 seconds into that middle frame, his ninth of the season, assisted by McKinnon and Rantanen. Josh Manson would cut the deficit to 3-2 just 31 seconds after that, assisted by Nichushkin and Logan O'Connor. Speaking of Nichushkin, he would get a power play goal for the Avs, tying it up at 3, getting his 20th of the year from Makar and Rantanen 4 minutes and 35 seconds into that frame. 8 minutes and 50 seconds into that middle period, Ekman Larson would give the Panthers a 4-3 lead, getting his 8th of the season from Barkov and Rodriguez. So it was 4-3 in favor of Florida heading into the third. Jonathan Drouin would get his 9th goal of the year, assisted by Girard, 3 minutes and 31 seconds into that third frame, tying it up at 4. And then after this, it would be all Florida. Reinhart would then get a hat trick, his 28th of the season from Tkachuk and Barkov on a power play goal, 6 minutes into that frame. Stenlund would then increase the lead to 6-4, his 7th of the season, assisted by Lomberg. Kachuk would increase the lead to 7-4. His 8th of the year from Verhaeghe and Ekblad, and that goal happened with 3 minutes and 43 seconds to go in the frame. And then Verhaeghe would then add more of an insurance, making it 8-4, doubling up the lead. 22nd goal of the year from Kachuk and Forsling. That goal happened with 3 minutes and 6 seconds to go in the frame. So 8 goals for the Florida Panthers on that night. So with the victory, the Panthers are now sitting at 25-12-2, second in their division. And despite the loss to the Avalanche, they're also second in their division, 25-12-3. All right, the next matchup takes place in Boston, where they played host to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Okay, let's take a look at the goal scoring summary from here. And this would also be a high scoring affair also. So if you're a fan of scoring, you would have loved watching these two games. In the first, Braden Point would kick things off for the Lightning just 21 seconds into that frame, his 18th of the season from Kucherov. Frederick would tie the game up with a power play goal for the Bruins, his 11th of the season, assisted by Shattenkirk and Lindholm. McAvoy would add a late goal in the period, making it 2-1, getting his 4th of the season from Heinen and Protas. So it's 2-1 in favor of the Bruins heading into the second. Frederick would then get his second goal of the game, a minute and 49 seconds in the middle frame, his 12th of the season from Grizelchik and Poitras, if I'm pronouncing the name correct. Kucherov would cut the deficit to 3-2, 7 minutes and 53 seconds into that frame, his 28th of the year. No assists were on his score. Pasternak would double up the lead to 4-2, just 30 seconds after that, getting his 24th of the year, assisted by Zaka. Braden Point would then get his second goal of the game, his 19th of the season, assisted by Kucherov and Hagel. And that goal happened with 4 minutes and 7 seconds to go in the frame. So it's 4-3 in favor of the Bruins heading into the third. In the third, the Bruins just added on to their lead. Geekie would increase lead to the 5-3, getting his 8th of the season from Pasternak and Lindholm, a minute and 35 seconds into that frame. DeBrusk would get a shorthanded goal with 3 minutes and 26 seconds to go in the period. And then Charlie Coyle would increase the lead to 7-3, with 40 seconds after DeBrusk scored, and that would be his 14th of the season. So 7-3 would be the final score. It's like a football score. The Bruins are now sitting at 24-8-6 atop of that division, and the Lightning are 19-17-5. They're still in the top 4 of that Atlantic, but I'm sure they would love to be playing a little bit better than what they are. All right, the next one takes place in Columbus, where we have the Blue Jackets taking on the Minnesota Wild. All right, let's take a look at the goal scoring summary from this game. So in the first, Sillinger would kick things off for the Blue Jackets, 8 minutes and 9 seconds into that frame, getting his 5th goal of the season from Bean and Mokvist. Boldy would tie the game up with a power play goal for the Wild, just 5 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in that frame. His 12th of the season from Faber and Eriksson Ek. So it's all tied up in 1 heading into the second. Sillinger would then get his second goal of the game, his 6th of the season from Marchenko, 17 seconds into that period. And then Boldy would get his second goal of the game for the Wild, his 13th of the year, assisted by Zuccarello and Faber. I swear I'm not reading the same score sheet from the first and second period. Both those guys got 2 goals in 2 periods. Sillinger would then get a power play goal, his hat-trick goal as well, his 7th of the season, assisted by Boqvist, and that goal happened with 5 minutes and 45 seconds to go in the frame. With a minute and 32 seconds to go, Johansson would tie the game up, assisted by Hartman, getting his 5th goal of the year, so we were off to overtime. 3 minutes and 5 seconds into that frame, Rossi would get the game-winning goal. And that would be his 12th of the year from Boldy and Faber. So 4-3 would be the final score for the Minnesota Wild. So they, with the victory, I believe they're back to 500, 17-17-4. And with the loss, the Blue Jackets are 13-19-9. One thing that's worth noting is that Marc-Andre Fleury was the starting goaltender for the Wild. With the victory, he is now tied with Patrick Waugh for the most wins amongst goalies, or he's tied for second with the wins. Brodeur obviously has the record, so one more victory for Fleury, and he will take sole possession of second place of all time when it comes to goaltenders and victories. All right, Next game takes place in New Jersey, where we have the Devils, and they played host to the Vancouver Canucks. All right. So it's the battle of the Quinn brothers. Or not the Quinn brothers, the Hughes brothers. Quinn for Vancouver, and then Jack and Luke for the Devils. No scoring in the first. We jump all the way ahead to the second period, where Elias Pettersson would kick things off 41 seconds into that frame, getting his 16th goal of the season from Veronic and Quinn Hughes. JT Miller would then increase the lead to 2-0, getting his 17th of the season from Besser and Quinn Hughes. Miller would then get a second goal of the game, 18th of the year from Pettersson and Cole, and that goal happened 4 minutes and 37 seconds in that frame. So Miller basically scored a minute and 4 seconds apart. Colin Miller would get his first goal of the year from Lazar and McLeod, making it 3-1 at that point in favor of the Canucks. Hollow would then score with 23 seconds to go, cutting the deficit to 3-2, his 9th of the season from Bratt and Luke Hughes. And just when you thought that we were going into the third, 3-2, Garland had slightly different plans. He would then score 12 seconds after Holla did, assisted by Joshua and Susie, with 11 seconds to go in the frame, making it 4-2 in favor of Vancouver. In the third, Pettersson would get his second goal of the game, his 17th of the season from Besser and Quinn Hughes. So Quinn Hughes basically had a hat-trick for assists. Colin Miller would then get his second goal of the game, second of the year, assisted by Tierney and Braden Smith, making it 5-3 at that point. Nico Hischier would cut the deficit to 5-4 with 7 minutes and 6 seconds to go. His 11th of the year from Smith and Hulla. And then Joshua would score a late goal, his 10th of the year from Miller and Bluegar. And that goal happened with 1 minute and 11 seconds remaining in the frame. So with that, Vancouver has improved to 25-11-3. And the Devils are now 21-15-2. All right. Next matchup takes place in Pittsburgh, where we have the Penguins playing host to the Buffalo Sabres. Okay. Oops. Wrong team. There we go. I'm not sure why Buffalo is so far off the screen, but it is what it is. All right. Let's take a look at the goal scoring summary from this particular game. So Alex Tuch would kick things off for the Sabres in the first, getting his 10th of the year from Clifton and Tage Thompson, 2 minutes and 53 seconds into that frame. There were no scoring in the second period. We jump all the way ahead to the third. We're 7 minutes and 49 seconds into that third, where Cal would tie the game up for the Penguins, getting his 4th of the year from Carlson and Malkin. Gregerssons would score with under 5 minutes to go in that period, 4 minutes and 38 seconds to be exact, getting his 3rd of the season from Robertson and Samuelson. And then Rasmus Dahlin would add a late goal, getting his 12th of the year. And that goal happened with 1 minute and 36 seconds to go in the frame. So 3-1 would be the final score in favor of the Sabres. With that, Buffalo are now 17-19-4, and with a loss, the Penguins are 19-15-4. All right, now we're off to San Jose, where the Sharks played host to the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm just going to adjust the screen a little bit, because I guarantee I'm probably off on one side. All right, let's take a look at the goal scoring summary from this particular game. So Marner would kick things off in the first, with a power play goal, 4 minutes and 38 seconds remaining, his 15th of the year from Riley and Nylander. In the second, Yarncroke would increase the lead to 2-0 with 43 seconds remaining in that period, his 10th of the season from Holmberg and Liljegren. In the third, William Nylander would get his 20th goal of the year, 9 minutes and 34 seconds into that frame, his 20th of the season from Bertuzzi and McCabe. Granlund would finally get the Sharks on the board, getting his 5th goal of the year from Zetterlund and Emberson, and that goal happened roughly 12 minutes to go in the period, so just over 8 minutes remaining in that frame. And then Nylander would then get his 2nd goal of the game, his 21st of the season from Tavares and Bertuzzi, and that goal happened with 3 minutes and 32 seconds remaining in the frame. So with the victory, the Leafs are now 20-10-7. And with the loss, the Sharks are still swimming at the bottom of that Pacific Division. They are 9-28-3. Just dreadful. All right, now we're off to Carolina, where we have the Hurricanes. They played host to the St. Louis Blues. Okay, Take a look at the goal scoring summary from this game. It was a low-scoring affair. In the first, there were just 2 goals to report. Walker would get his first goal of the year for the Blues, assisted by Sundqvist and Cruz. And that goal happened with 8 minutes and 56 seconds to go in the frame. Terry Bynum would then tie it up with 6 minutes and 43 seconds to go. His 14th of the season, assisted by Drury. There were no goals to report in the second, third, or overtime. You have to jump all the way ahead to a shootout, and where Braden Shen, the captain, would get the game-winning goal for the Blues, making it 2-1. With the victory, the Blues are now sitting at 20-17-1, and despite the loss, the Hurricanes are still technically almost 9 games above 500, 22-13-5. All right, now we're off to Dallas, where we have the Stars. They played host to the Nashville Predators. So, Battle of the Central. All right, let's take a look at the goal scoring summary from this game. So, in the first, Nyquist would kick things off for the Nashville Predators, getting his 10th goal of the year. No assists on his score, and that goal happened with 8 minutes and 34 seconds remaining in the frame. In the second, Evan Jelista would give the Predators a 2-0 lead, 7th of the year from Novak and Smith. Sagan would finally get the Stars on the board, cutting the deficit to 2-1 at that point, getting his 14th of the year from Duchesne and Richmond. Jamie Benn would tie the game up with a power play goal with 46 seconds remaining, his 8th of the season from Harley and Robertson. In the third, just 2 minutes and 42 seconds into that frame, Forsberg would give the Predators a 3-2 lead, getting his 20th of the year from Nyquist and Ryan O'Reilly. Forsberg would then get his second goal of the game, his 21st of the year from O'Reilly and Shen, and that goal happened 7 minutes and 30 seconds into that frame. Jake Robertson, I believe, or Jason Robertson, one of those two guys, would give the Stars their third goal of the game, cutting the deficit to 4-3 at that point. That would be his 13th of the season from Hanley and Harley. But for the Stars, that's as close as they would come to a comeback. So with the victory, the Predators are now 22-17-1. And with the loss, the Stars, I believe, are still in the top 3 of that Central Division, 22-11-5. All right, just 2 more games from Saturday's action. And the next one's an all-Canadian matchup between the Ottawa Senators and the Edmonton Oilers. Seems like it wasn't that long ago when everyone, including myself, thought the Oilers were going to be completely out of it because they just were not in sync at all. And here we are. They're just climbing their way back into a postseason berth. So in the first, there was no scoring. If you jump ahead to the second, late in that second period with 1 minute and 52 seconds to go, Hyman would get the first goal of the game, his 23rd of the season, from Bouchard and Nugent Hopkins. Hyman in the third would then get a second goal of the game from Bouchard, 2 minutes and 46 seconds into that frame. Kelly would get the Senators on the board, his 4th of the year from Tkachuk and Brandstrom. Hyman would then get the power play goal late in the third with 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go. That would be his hat-trick goal, his 25th of the season from McDavid and Bouchard. So Bouchard assisted on all 3 of Hyman's goals. So with the victory, the Oilers are now 20-15-1, and with a loss, the Senators are now 14-21-0. All right, just one more game to look over, and that's the Vegas Golden Knights, and they played host to the New York Islanders. Oh no, my phone is shut off. Come on. All right, here we go. So let's take a look at the goal scoring summary from this game. So Jack Eichel would kick things off for the Vegas Golden Knights 6 minutes and 25 seconds into that first period, getting his 17th of the season from Marchessault and Pietrangelo. Barzal then would tie the game up for the Islanders, getting his 11th goal of the year from Horvat and Lee. In the second, Dorofiev, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, would give the Vegas Golden Knights a late second period lead, getting his 5th goal of the season from Stevenson and Stone, and that goal happened with 2 minutes and 49 seconds to go in the frame. With just 1 minute and 19 seconds to go, Nick Roy would then increase the lead to 3-1, getting his 6th goal of the year, assisted by Howden and Colasar. In the third, Eichel would increase the lead to 4-1, getting a second goal of the game, his 18th of the season from Cormier. 31 seconds into that third period, a power play goal to note. Matt Martin would then cut the deficit to 4-2, getting his second goal of the season, assisted by Cizikas, 2 minutes and 42 seconds into that frame. And then a minute and 40 seconds after that, Nick Roy would then get his second goal of the game, his 7th of the season, assisted by Kolzer. So with the win, Vegas has now improved to 23-12-5. They're still second in that Pacific Division. And with the loss, the Islanders are 18-11-10. They're still in the top 4 of that Metropolitan Division. All right, now I'm finally all caught up with all of my games. Hope everyone enjoys this type of content, especially if you're new to this channel. Please feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative. And as always, take care.